Wes Harris is joining us live from Minneapolis, Minnesota. He's the managing editor of the website Business of Soccer. Wes, great to have you on our broadcast.
Thanks for having me.
A lot of allegations out there flying around concerning Sepp Blatter. A lot of them point to Sepp Blatter. Where do you think this will end up?
I think eventually, we wouldn't be shocked to see Sepp having to answer for a lot of these allegations and more to arise. He's been involved and in a position of power with FIFA for decades now. So I think we're just starting to see the tip of the iceberg in terms of Blatter's involvement. And is he going to serve jail time? Is he going to have to pay fines? I think we need to let the events unfold. But if you ask me, 6 months from now, if reports come out that Blatter has to answer for the actions that if they're proven that he did take them, I wouldn't be shocked.
How do you look back at the past week and determine exactly how large this scandal has grown?
So in the past week, the biggest event obviously was President Sepp Blatter announcing that he would step down on Tuesday, just 4 days after re-election, pulling a complete 180 in his stance in terms of why he was standing for another presidential election even after the news came out. So that news, as well as the release of Chuck Blazers, the former FIFA executive committee member who is cooperating with the FBI in their investigation, the release of his deposition and testimony. There were portions redacted as it had to be to protect the integrity of the investigation. But within that testimony, he alleges that he and others, high-ranking officials within FIFA, accepted bribes that pertained to the 1998 and 2010 World Cup bids. So I think that as events continue to unfold and as more and more people come out within this investigation and that have been a part of these actions and allegations, as they talk to the FBI, we're going to see more come out.
Well, Wes, what do you think about Russia and Qatar? I mean, how long do they have to determine whether or not they were allegedly involved before they pull the plug on the World Cup there?
I think it's a little bit early for Russia in terms of deciding whether or not they're going to be stripped. And as Scala said, they're not going to take any action unless evidence has been brought forth convincingly that leaves them no choice but to strip them. Qatar is obviously a little bit further out, but news broke today that a Arab American woman who worked on the Qatari World Cup bid committee and team up until 2010 is now turned into a whistleblower. Her name is, I believe, Faidra Al-Majid. I hope I pronounced that correctly. But basically coming out and saying that the FBI has absolutely everything they need in terms of evidence from her and her story to basically strip Qatar of the World Cup, and that FIFA will be left with no choice but to strip that honor from them. But I think as the next days unfold and more comes of that story, we'll see that come out. But certainly we've seen it been moved in the past with less time frames. So I would say that anything's on the table at this point.
Wes, do you see this being somewhat of a black eye like we saw with the NFL and Roger Goodell, or do you think that FIFA will face a major overhaul?
I do think FIFA faces a major overhaul just because we don't yet know the full breadth and depth of all of the wrongdoings within FIFA over the last few decades, and how far this really extends, who's involved, how many are involved, and what it's going to take to change that and reform that to the point where it's acceptable and moving forward is an ethically in good standing and running the global world of football.
Alrighty, Wes Harris, thank you so much for your time and insight. We appreciate it.